The Godfather is making a grand comeback to the big screen in India, and this time in stunning 4K restoration. Yes, you heard it right. Francis Ford Coppola's legendary trilogy, based on Mario Puzo's best-selling novel, is returning to theaters, and Indian moviegoers are getting a once-in-a-lifetime chance to experience the saga as it was meant to be seen. This is more than just a re-release. It's a cinematic event, one that bridges generations of film lovers. When The Godfather first hit theaters in 1972, it wasn't just another movie. It changed cinema forever. The film, starring Marlon Brando as Don Vito Corleone and a young Al Pacino as Michael Corleone, introduced audiences to a dark, layered world of crime, loyalty, and family power struggles. The film wasn't simply about gangsters. It was about legacy, betrayal, ambition, and the very essence of family. It won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and over the decades, it has only grown in stature. The sequel, The Godfather Part 2, released in 1974, is hailed as one of the greatest sequels of all time, even winning 6 Oscars. And though The Godfather Part 3, released in 1990, divided critics, its recent recut by Coppola in 2020 gave it a fresh lease of life and a more fitting conclusion to the Corleone saga. For Indian audiences, this re-release carries extra meaning. When The Godfather first came out, it didn't enjoy the kind of widespread theatrical release that we see today for Hollywood blockbusters. Most Indians discovered it later, through VHS tapes, pirated VCDs, or cable television reruns. Over time, its reputation spread through word of mouth, critical essays, and cinephile discussions. It became a cult obsession, with dialogues like, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse," entering everyday vocabulary, and even Bollywood films paying tribute in different ways. But now, after decades, Indian moviegoers will finally get to sit in dark theaters, hear Nino Rota's haunting score echo across Dolby sound systems, and watch Gordon Willis's moody, shadow-heavy cinematography the way it was intended. This 4K restoration is not just a facelift. It's a painstaking revival of every detail, every shadow, every frame that made The Godfather what it is. Viewers will be able to see textures they've never noticed before, the expressions on Brando's face in greater detail, the color tones restored to their original richness, and sound that feels immersive and alive. It's the kind of restoration that doesn't just preserve a classic but reintroduces it to a whole new generation. The timing of this re-release is also fascinating. Today's cinema landscape is dominated by big-budget superhero franchises and fast-paced streaming content. Attention spans are shrinking, and audiences are used to quick payoffs. But The Godfather represents a different era, one where storytelling unfolded slowly, where tension built across long silences, and where drama came not from spectacle, but from raw human emotion. For Gen Z and millennial audiences in India who may have only watched these films on laptops or phones, this is an opportunity to understand why critics and filmmakers alike still call The Godfather the greatest film ever made. And let's not forget the legacy of performances. Marlon Brando redefined what it meant to transform into a character, giving Don Vito Corleone a soft-spoken menace that became iconic. Al Pacino, who was initially dismissed by Paramount as too unknown, rose to greatness through his performance as Michael, a son who never wanted the throne but ended up being consumed by it. Robert De Niro, who played young Vito in Part 2, won an Oscar for a role where he spoke mostly in Sicilian. These are performances that stand the test of time, and seeing them larger than life again will remind audiences why these actors became legends. For India, the influence of The Godfather has always been strong. Bollywood directors from Ram Gopal Verma to Mani Ratnam have admitted being inspired by Coppola's storytelling style. Verma's Sarkar series is often described as India's own Godfather, and even mainstream films echo the themes of family loyalty, betrayal, and the moral cost of power. Dialogues from the original film have been remixed into memes, parodied in comedy sketches, and referenced in countless ways. In many ways, Indian pop culture has been living with The Godfather for decades without ever having the chance to truly see it as intended. This re-release changes that. And if you're wondering why this matters now, it's because cinema has a way of reminding us of its roots. Every few decades, the great films come back, not to compete with the present, but to remind us of timeless artistry. Just as new audiences rediscovered Titanic during its anniversary re-release, or how Bollywood fans throng theaters for old Shah Rukh Khan classics when they are re-released, The Godfather in 4K is a celebration of cinema itself. It's not just nostalgia for older fans, but a masterclass in filmmaking for younger ones. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this re-release is the collective experience it promises. Watching The Godfather alone on a laptop is powerful, yes, but sitting in a theater full of people, gasping together at the betrayals, sighing at the heartbreak, and applauding the brilliance of Coppola's vision is something else entirely. Cinema, after all, was created to be shared, to be felt in community, and The Godfather's return to the big screen reminds us why theaters remain sacred spaces for storytelling. So imagine this. The lights dim, the theater goes quiet, and on the screen appears Marlon Brando in shadow, stroking a cat as he speaks. Someday, and that day may never come, the score rises, the Corleone family saga begins, and you're transported into a world of power, love, betrayal, and tragedy. That's not just watching a movie, that's living an experience. The Godfather Trilogy is more than half a century old, but its themes are eternal. Family, ambition, loyalty, greed, and the human struggle for power, these are as relevant in 2025 as they were in 1972. And now, thanks to this re-release, Indian audiences will not just be spectators, but participants in this global cinematic celebration. Whether you're a diehard fan or someone experiencing it for the first time, one thing is certain: this is an offer you truly cannot refuse.